All right, live from my basement. It's the B Free RE podcast with Tony, Iron City, and Gotti.
Yeah, we got video now. So if you're
Yeah,
listening to this on the podcast, you can subscribe on the YouTubes right now, just under my name, because why not? Um,
I like it.
right?
Yeah,
With
man.
with the
412 agent YouTubes. Do it.
it's not even 412 agent, just Anthony and Gotti YouTube.
All right,
Not
building
even
that
branded.
SEO.
Yeah, but it'll be up. So this is cool. This is our first video recording. I got this sweet setup going here with my $20 webcam. John with his
$20
nothing.
house.
It's, from what you say, it feels like that, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So what we're gonna do today was a few episodes ago, maybe more than a few episodes ago, we did an episode just on John's decision to purchase his most recent house hack deal. So we talked a little bit about what uh, went into that decision making process to buy it, what the plan was with it, all those different things. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about where he is. So it's been how long since you bought it? Do you think?
It is mid March, and we bought it like I think it was end of December. I can't
Okay,
remember. So like 3 months. Yeah. Wow,
time flies, right?
dude, long time. I feel
Yeah,
like we should have more done.
you'd think so, but it never works out that way.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah,
You would and you wouldn't. Yeah.
right.
So,
So 3 months, three. I can hold up
yes.
my fingers now. Six, three, whatever. Um, yeah. So you've been on this for 3 months, renovating the place you live in, and there's also an accessory dwelling, just to get
Yeah,
everybody up to speed. Right? There's a unit above your garage, right?
that's right. So it's a single family house with 2 bedrooms, um, a living, dining, and a like pantry area. And then there's a finished attic, which you see me in now, with me plus this much high ceilings, which makes a great home office. Yeah. And this is a detached garage, and there's a 2 bedroom apartment above that. And all of it has this wood paneling look that our wonderful YouTube watchers can see now. And
Wood
drop
paneling
ceiling.
is where it's at. It's coming back.
I guess so. It's back in my life, that's for
I
sure.
said it. I said it first.
All
So it's
right.
coming back. You heard it here. Be Free RE podcast. Wood paneling making it come back.
Boom.
Anyway, so just remind everybody briefly kind of what was your plan with this place when you bought it? Like, were you going to do any renovations? Um, did you have any idea prior to,
Yeah, we had a rough
buying
plan.
it?
We wanted to move into the house, rent out the garage apartment, and our goal was, I mean, just to get into numbers, we wanted to buy the house and like finish everything up for about 200. So total budget 200. I think list price 129. Our offer was 139, and it was accepted before we even got in. Like nobody toured the place. We just didn't want anyone else to even see it.
Nice.
So got in, we moved where the kitchen was. So like the kitchen was pretty wild. You like couldn't open the dishwasher all the way because it was so narrow. So we basically had to move where the kitchen was. The bedrooms have like accordion doors
Nice.
because they don't actually have like standard door framing. Drop ceiling, panel walls. What else, man? Crazy old carpet that's like green. Basically a house from the 70s, right? Wood windows. So our plan was, floors, paint, move the kitchen. If I had to summarize the house, and in the apartment, we had to like re-drywall the entire bathroom. So they had these like vinyl panels that I've never seen before. Um,
Like a
all through
mobile home.
exactly like a mobile home, actually. They had vinyl panels all in there, and I can't even remember what the floor was. Probably the same kind of pretty wild carpet. So, yeah. plan was largely cosmetic and try not to do anything too fancy. And then you know how all projects go, right?
You
Eventually,
do
you wind up,
something too fancy.
yeah, you wind up. Every job becomes three jobs, and then before you know it, you got a whole bunch of jobs. So, the plan was to actually try and finish everything before we moved. Um, we
Didn't
start
happen, did it?
No, so we started, and my wife listed the place we were living in, and I said, "Hey, we'll live here and we'll carry the mortgage on both places for a couple months, and we'll live stress free, and we won't have to rush this." And then she found this tenant she just had to have in the current place we were living in. So then the shot clock starts. So yeah, so that was kind of the first like adjustment that happened. And then the other thing that happened is we have a tenant that we like. It's a single mother, and she was living in a one bedroom with her son, who's now 6 in COVID times, where she works from home and he is effectively homeschooled or
Okay.
whatever. And she was like, "I'm dying to get out of here. Please find me a new place." And my wife said yes. So then we had to finish both places as fast as we could because we had like made commitments to these people, which was a big lesson learned for us anyway. It was like,
Yeah, it's
you need to
good
put
to.
your own interests first, right? Like everything takes longer. There's no breathing room. It becomes stressful, and then these people are upset at you because you said you'd do something. And it's like
Right.
completely unneeded stress, right? Like, I mean,
Self-inflicted.
exactly. Uh, yeah. And like, look, for me personally, like I run quote unquote the business. So it's like all my fault on some level, right? Like I should have told my
Hmm.
wife no. And so we talked about that a little bit too, like with her. I was like, look, it's fine if we like want to be accommodating, but we need to at least start with our own interests first. So that was a
Yeah.
big like negotiation lesson, right? Both for me, I over delegated. And then also just I think for my wife, she realized like, people have a certain gravity, right? They're always gonna like coerce you and they'll do it nicely, and then before you know it, they like moved where you thought you were. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So what
So
did
yeah.
you have to do before this person moved into the, because your own house that you're moving into, like that's a little less stressful because you can always kind of
Yeah.
work around it. But this person moving into the apartment above the garage, what all did you have to do to the garage apartment before she moved in, and how long did you have to do it?
I think we moved her in February, so we had like 2 months. And in that 2 months, we did everything. So we changed out the drop ceiling. I'm just going to go top down in the house. We changed out all the drop ceiling for new drop ceiling. We rewired all the lighting into recessed LED lighting in that ceiling. We painted all the walls and all the tracks being like the things that hold the ceiling up.
Hmm.
The walls are panel walls. So it took a million coats of paint.
What
Then
color
we
did you
laid
use?
Uh, we prime it white, and then we put agreeable gray on everything.
Nice,
Yep,
very agreeable.
very agreeable. Yeah, we try and use the same colors in all our places. That way, it's not too fancy.
Yeah.
Agreeable gray, eggshell, I think. Um, and then satin in wet places, bathroom, kitchen backsplash. Um, and then we had to do the floors, and we had
Vinyl? Did you use vinyl floor?
yeah, we did. Yeah, it's an LVP. I actually don't love the floor that we chose. But yeah, it's a luxury vinyl plank. I don't know if it's a luxury. It's a vinyl
Luxury.
plank. It's a
Yeah.
vinyl plank. It was like $2 a square foot, so, and it's waterproof with a 10-year residential warranty. So that means nothing, right?
They
Because we're
won't
gonna rent it
honor
out.
it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Means something, I guess.
Means
Uh,
it'll last
yeah,
between a few tenant turns. Yeah.
yeah. There's a couple scratches on it already. And the kitchen, we swapped out the range, the refrigerator. We did not paint the cabinets, but we changed the cabinet hardware.
Okay.
And then we swapped out the countertop for a new countertop. We just did like Formica. Put in a new sink, installed a dishwasher. We're installing stacked washer dryer unit. And then the bathroom, we basically had to redo entirely. Uh,
Okay. Did you pull everything out?
Everything except for the tub.
Okay.
So we had to drywall it. New fixtures. We did a surround, a new vanity, new light, new mirror, new toilet, new light switches everywhere. I mean, just like a whole lot. Uh, so a whole lot. Yeah.
So you did like a little bit short of a full gut, really.
I guess so. We didn't do anything structural, so we didn't move
Yeah.
any walls, but yeah, we didn't do the roof. I mean, the roof is a million years old,
Mhm.
but we didn't have to do it right now. So yeah, I mean, we basically had to do that. We hired a contractor, and I think this is probably where the interesting lessons are for the listeners. So it was a contractor I worked with previously about 2 years ago, and they did like pretty good work. You know what I mean? I mean, they're on the very affordable end of contractors. So I kind of know what I'm going to get. Right, my house is going to have a couple extra cigarette butts. I'm going to have to put some joy compound around some light switches that
Yeah.
have been
Right.
overcut. You know what I mean? Just like kind of dumb stuff. I have to like extra check on all the floors because they'll cut corners. So
Right.
it's nothing that's like this is an above garage apartment, right? So this is never going to be on HGTV like Chip and Joanna Gaines. Holy shit, this looks great, right? So
Never know.
good enough is good enough. But anyway, I guess I don't know if this guy got addicted to drugs or what, but basically completely different experience this time we worked with him. And I noticed all his guys were different, which I should have thought about more, right? So the guy that I dealt with, the guy who owns the business, same dude, but he's kind of like the foreman. He's
Yeah.
not really swinging hammers, right? He's out trying to sell and make money, and I should have been more thoughtful. So kind of let those guys run and checked in on the job too late. And I mean, they laid the flooring like before they painted. They
Bad
uh
process.
and they laid the flooring like so with this LVP, usually you lay like you stagger it in like threes or fours or fives
Yeah.
or you do it randomly. They staggered it every other. So it has this like checkerboard pattern that
Yeah,
looks
it's not how it's supposed to be.
really bad. And I don't know if there's actually going to be issues when it heats up and it expands. That'll be interesting. So just lots of problems like that. We installed a bathroom fart fan and they like vented it straight into the attic. They didn't take it out of the house. So just like all this work. And I mean, the long story short is I wound up like having to throw them out,
Mm.
just put their tools on the street.
Is that what you did?
Yeah. I put their tools on the street and like had to fire them, but we were like under the gun for all this stuff. So just
Mm.
a really interesting lesson in terms of like, you know, contractors and kind of their timeline. And I talked to a couple of friends that are investors also, and they all have this kind of common experience where general contractors apparently only last like 18 months and then something happens to them. It's like Cinderella, they turn into a pumpkin. So same thing
Something like
happened to this
that.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that isn't an uncommon experience that, you know, after the first year or so, they get too tied up in too many jobs, rob Peter to pay Paul, or they increase their prices too much and they're no longer investor friendly contractors, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. And the other thing is I had my brother come help me. So my brother was in college and he was on winter break. So I had him come up and I was paying him to do work. And I mean, I love my brother, right? But he's kind of just like a dumb college kid. So like that, I was managing that too, right? And then I'm moving us out of our other house and there's work to be done there that we're moving out of. So really I was like kind of managing three work streams at once, right? I have this contractor, I have my brother, and then I have like the work I have to do at my own house. And by the way, I have a 2-year-old and a wife, and like and a job. So just way too much going on, and of course the
Mm.
quality suffers, and like just um, you know, it's just doing too much. I mean, there's really not too much to say about it. So going forward, then we basically like redivided all the work into the right people. So we got a flooring expert to come like address the flooring challenges, right? We got someone who's good at drywall to come address drywall problems, electricians, plumbers, et cetera, et cetera. And
Yeah.
we had way more success. But it's just once the damage is done, sometimes it's hard to like undo things, right? Like this
Did you
flooring.
pay him at all?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I paid him for some of the work up front. Uh, but that was a mistake too. I should have like revisited some of our contracts and like how we do things there. So
Hmm.
just a lot of mistakes on my end, honestly. Like
And
I
it's
mean,
not
it's
like
always
this is your first time either. You had done a couple projects before, so.
yeah. The interesting thing is this was our fifth and sixth unit, and
Hmm.
even when we were buying this deal, we were like very lazy about the underwriting. We were just really approaching it with like a very bad, lazy attitude, both my wife and myself. And I'm not sure exactly how to like prevent that from happening in the future or like how I could.
Checklists work,
It's
but
not really a checklist thing. It was like a lack of rigor, like a lack of caring. It was very weird. It was like, oh, we know what we're doing. We'll figure this out. It'll be fine. Everything was just treated way too
that's also
nonchalantly.
what allows you to pull the trigger. Because,
Yeah.
like, if you go too far, then you'll never.
Yeah. So that was but yeah, I mean, in general, I would never hire a GC again. I feel like you're always GCing anyway.
Yeah.
And
I
whenever I
agree.
do GC walkthroughs, I'm always like, all right, well, what's your punch list? Before I even show up and I'm going to walk the property, you need to show me your punch list because like my team's too precious and I can't be like walking the house and you're writing like a punch list from scratch. Like it just, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that was a good lesson there. Uh, yeah, I mean, basically not paying people for anything other than materials up front, right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Subcontracting out the job has always gone a little bit more smoothly. Or,
yeah, it's way more work, right? Like on the front end.
yeah. Until you find, like, once you find the people, it's not that bad. It's
Exactly.
more because then you have them for the next job and the next job and the next job. It's not
And
that
that's the
bad
truth
after
is
that.
like now we have these guys, like it was a great investment for our business in general, right? Like we have two or three electricians now. We have one great plumber, but he's super reliable. I guess we have two plumbers, but and we have this flooring guy that we really like. So it's just that's been solid. It's been like a great stabilizing force for the business overall. And so like at the tail end of this, I'm very happy where we're at, but it was miserable is the wrong word, but
A
I would definitely
bear.
do things differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a bear of a process a bit.
And the
So
other
you,
thing is like the tenant moved in, tenant's happy, right? Like both our tenants are fine. We had some like pretty stupid weather where it was like freezing for like a month straight and then it rained.
yeah,
I don't know, like Noah's Ark kind of biblical stuff here. And like our tenant was, obviously they got water in their house and they weren't stoked about that, but they're like pretty cool about it. So at the end of the
yeah,
day, it's like, things are going fine. I mean, look, you can see my beautiful house here that I still have to finish, but things are fine. And, we have a working sink now and all the important things in our house, which is great. I think
a
the other
toilet.
thing that was a huge nightmare is we moved the kitchen in the house
Okay,
we're in now. So, I mean, kitchen is just like really central to your living. And like we planned it out. We had all these casseroles that we were going to cook and blah blah blah. But like not having a sink and doing your dishes in the tub or whatever,
yeah,
that sucks really fast. And we were waiting forever for this countertop because we got a Corian countertop, a solid surface countertop. It's like cheaper than quartz, but it looks like quartz.
okay.
And I think I would easily if I'm under like any kind of time pressure in the future, I would not do that because it just really complicates the job logistically.
Hmm.
Because like you can't do stuff until the countertop shows up, right? So just I would go to a place, grab something off a slab that they already have right
Yeah,
there,
or if you want
get it
something,
out.
yeah, have them come install it, cut it quickly, that sort of
Yeah, I
thing.
mean this Korean stuff, they come install and everything, but it takes them a couple weeks. They're booked out and all that. So
Or you would have lined it up earlier, had this plan. Because did you plan to move this kitchen when you bought it?
we were like a little undecided. So what we had planned to do is like we're like, oh, we'll live in here and we'll just work on the kitchen. And if we're like, we can't make this kitchen work, right? Then we'll move it. And then I can't remember actually how we got to this point, but I kind of explained to my wife, I was like, look, man, moving this kitchen while we live in there is going to suck. Like,
Yeah.
we need to do this before we go. But what we didn't think about is like, okay, well, we have to paint everything and do all this stuff and then do the floors and then do the cabinets and then build essentially all the structure that's going to hold this, you know, countertop. And because we built a center island. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
center island. So you have to build all the structure there and run new plumbing. And, it's a lot of work. And then we fired our contractor in the middle of that. So that delayed everything. Right. So that pushed everything out. So that was super intense, and then I'm like doing the plumbing myself, which
Yeah.
I
Of
enjoy,
course.
but I have a job. You know what I mean?
Enjoy.
Dude, I actually really like. I really like it. That doesn't bother me.
Actually, putting in new plumbing is not
Yes.
that bad, but fixing plumbing under a sink cabinet is like, I
Yeah, but
don't
I
know.
was just putting stuff in, so
Yeah,
that was no
I bet.
problem really. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to fix a waistline like a waist stack, but
Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I mean, it
that's
just
good.
sucked, and then my wife was frustrated. It was gnarly. I don't know, gnarly experience. But like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm still really glad we did it. I imagine when we're done, I mean, we're definitely going to gross like 19 or two, probably higher than that realistically. I mean, the place has a garage.
yeah.
There's 3 parking spots. This is like a big deal in Pittsburgh. There's a house. It's its
There's a
own house
house.
with. I mean, it's not an apartment, right? It's like a
Yeah,
standalone place. You don't
right,
share walls
right.
with anybody. And I mean, the kitchen's nice. I mean, we got stainless steel crap in there, and it
Yeah,
looks la di da. Got a big old sink with the
you're living fancy now.
that sink that like looks expensive. It's got the like spring around the faucet and all
Right,
that.
right. Yeah.
Because we couldn't do a double sink, so we bought like a $300 sink or whatever. So
Nice. Hope you got
stuff's.
that thing on sale.
No, I don't know. I have no idea, man.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah. You also reach a point like we're doing like $10,000 kind of costs,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh, what's the difference between like $100 sink and a $300 sink?
That's actually brings up a good point because I talked about this. I have a friend who has a really small accessory dwelling on his property, and he's just gonna turn it into like a recording studio because he records videos and stuff, and
Interesting.
like an office and things like that. And I told him, I was like, well, when you buy material, just buy the most expensive material, whatever you think is like really nice. Just make it really nice because the difference in a
Yeah.
dollar 50 a square foot in 100 square foot room is not that
Yeah.
much money, but your quality improves a lot. So same thing here, like, you know,
Yeah.
if you're already going to spend so much money on it, like you'll take if that sink improves your quality of life, it's worth the, extra little bit of money. Or if it makes it look fancier so somebody rents it faster, then it's easy.
Exactly.
So
There's
that's
certain stuff that I think really has a big return on value, like sinks and you
light
know.
fixtures.
I don't know. We got our light fixtures from IKEA, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, like ceiling fans, for instance, over lights, like
oh.
a light, well, not a $5 spray paint can, but like a regular ceiling fan over like just a normal light. I mean, a ceiling, I call them boob lights, like the flush
Yeah, yeah.
mount lights. It might cost $15, $20. A ceiling fan might cost 50, but somebody's when they go in, the ceiling fan looks a lot nicer and people like having ceiling fans. So like that additional amount of money that small amount of money made your place easier to rent and whatever. So net
Yeah.
gain.
Yeah.
But
I think those are
so were
yeah.
you it sounds like you really didn't even make too much of a budget before you started this.
No, I mean our budget was basically I mean we only had a certain amount of cash, right? So there's always a
Mm-hmm.
budget. And then I think we were trying to target 175 or 180.
Like
Uh
all in.
yeah, all in. So I think they gave us like 40 after closing costs and something like
Did
that.
you finish within your budget?
No, I'm sure we went over. I mean, between firing the contractor and having to redo work there, Uh, there's also been a number of things that we didn't expect. So like when we bought the house, the garage was not um, fireproofed per our local municipality. So what they had to do is they drywalled the ceiling in the garage. And when they did that, they took off the garage door uh, motor and chain drive, and then they drywalled it. And then the guy who did the drywall, I guess, just like mounted it back up, and he mounted it up wrong. So like that's just an example of like all these little things we didn't really budget for that wound
Yeah.
up kind of like biting us in the ass on this house. Um, I'm trying to think another example. We had a leak. Uh,
That stuff's kind of more like, I don't really count that because you're not flipping the house, so that's not really in your like renovation budget. That's more in your just like capex type
yeah,
ongoing maintenance thing.
yeah. I mean, I would say overall we're very close. We're probably at 40 instead of like 33 or something we wanted.
Okay.
So we went over quite a bit in dollars, but we're like well within the range of where
But not catastrophically so.
we're
You're still
we're
make
at the
money.
top end of what we expected. You know, I think the other downside is so the heating bills are super high in the garage apartment. So
Uh,
that's going to get passed on to the tenant, but I mean, we're talking like $250 high. So we're also going to have to put in insulation there, and that's going to cost a couple thousand
mm,
bucks. So like, there's just some
I
little stuff like that.
mean, my heating bill, if I during the winter, can go up to $300-400.
Whoa, that's super high.
Yeah, it's just what happens in these old houses with no insulation and
Yeah.
old heating elements.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could just pass that along to the tenant. But that felt
Yeah,
like so like when we walked through the house, that garage apartment, they had the heat cranked way the F up. They're baseboard heaters.
yeah.
So, that was the other thing. Like anytime something seems like a little weird when you're walking through, like, why is it so hot in here? It's like it's hot in here because it's cold in here. And they're selling this thing to you, you idiot.
Yeah,
So there's like very obvious things. Like even the contractor, all his people are changed over. The way he was kind of acting stressful, like he wanted the job so bad from us. All these things are very obvious, like red flags after the fact. So
in retrospect, yeah.
yeah. So that
Well,
yeah. So
sounds
uh
like it's still working out though. Just basic tip too. I believe if she's on electric heat, your tenant, she can apply for like a reduced rate with
oh,
the
there you
electric company. Yeah.
go. Okay.
Because we have a couple apartments with electric heat and we tell them to just if they're worried about their bills to go apply for the reduced rate or whatever.
Yeah. I,
Because the
I will tell her that.
electric company will give you less money if it's for heating purposes versus just regular electric stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the panel in that house failed. Had to rewire a bunch of the baseboard heaters. Just like wild stuff like that.
That happens.
Yep.
But as long as it still seems like it'll make money, it sounds like it worked out and you learned some things. So
Yeah.
summarize your three biggest lessons here.
My three biggest lessons are, man, there's just so many lessons. Um, I think number one is you have to always expect that the job is gonna like go over by about 50%, something like that in days. Because you figure a month of renovations, but there's a bunch of weekends in there. You can very quickly get to 2 months, at least for the scope of work we were doing. So like at least giving yourself a buffer for that
Yeah.
time window to go wrong. Um, and that kind of dovetails into the next thing, which is like, look, once you commit to like a plan, don't change the plan. So like part of our issue was like we talked to the contractor, we had a very clear time window, and then literally we had to change the time window twice, right? Because my wife was like, "Hey, we got to move now," right? So then I'm trying to shuffle around where they're working. So just stick to the plan. Because when you change that time window, then all the priorities and your ability to like plan things out change. And the third thing would probably be just you're going to be a GC no matter what, right? Or you're going to involve somebody in your team as a GC and pay them if you're like out of state.
Mm-hmm.
So just take that mindset on, and I'm not sure you have to do it for your first property, but if you plan to do multiple properties, it's worth it to vet some people and have them figure things out, right? Get your flooring guy, have them do some small room that's not super critical, see if you like the work, give them more work if you like the work. And you can tell them, like, hey, I'll let you do this whole house if you do a good job here, and just kind of roll it up that way. But, coming in and being like, I need this whole part of this house done to some GC, it's just
Not gonna work. Well,
maybe it'll work
could,
for you.
but
Maybe
it's
it'll work
it's
for
a hit
you.
or miss, fifty
Yeah.
fifty. Roll the
It
dice.
sounds easy, right? So you should be a little suspicious if it sounds too good to be true. It just might be.
Yeah,
So I don't know. That feels like 4 or 5 things. But anyway, that's what happened.
that's that.
Good luck, listeners.
Well,
Go
that's
get you
good.
a house though. I
So
mean,
yeah, we'll you know, once you're fully done with your house and maybe you're refinancing one day, we'll finish this story up with the exit strategy, but that will be
yeah, I
in the
mean, already
future.
right now, I mean, here's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow or whatever. I mean, we don't pay a mortgage. We only pay utilities right now because of how
Nice.
everything works out, right? So Eh, I mean, it's hard to beat that. I mean,
Yep. And your other there places that you left that you were originally house hacking are now
oh yeah, they
they're
put money in the
they're
pocket.
they're
Yeah,
producing. So
exactly,
every time you move on, it feels slow, but then once you do more and more and layer them on, then it starts to accelerate a little bit better and you start to reap the benefits.
exactly. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. We got 6 units. I mean,
Yeah.
so you can do the math. I mean,
You're already starting to reap the benefits and
yeah,
you know,
exactly. I mean, it's going great. The business is paying for itself. Things are happening. So,
still ultimately a get rich slow business, right?
I mean, it's been pretty fast for us. Like, I mean, 2 years. It's felt long. I feel like we've done a ton in 2 years,
Yeah,
right? When I
for
talk to other
sure.
people, I mean, yeah. I mean, we had a baby. We moved across the country. I think we moved 5 times. We bought literally 3 different deals, 6 units in total, fixed them all up. It's like 6 fix ups. I mean, it's a ton.
That's a busy life.
COVID happened.
COVID happened. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of net worth, I mean, we've probably forced like $150,000 in net worth into our own pockets. So
Which is a lot more than you would have done if you would have moved and rented.
yeah,
So
I'll take it.
house hacking is the cheat code. So
Yeah.
good to see it being executed. Well, we got that. We went over everything that you had learned, gone over a little bit about your project. Um, so I guess I'd be cheating by saying, did you learn anything this week?
No, yeah, it's your
Because
turn, man. I
it's
learned
my
enough. I'm
turn.
over this. Yeah.
Um, a little bit of a piggyback on yours a bit. I learned that having the right people in place makes everything so much
Yeah. Ain't that
easier.
true?
Um, because we have our property manager. Um, she's going on maternity leave, and we have another person filling in, and the other person filling in kind of just started property managing for some third party customers of mine. We started like a small scale property management business, really
Okay.
just to support our realtor customers. That's the only reason. I'm not out there like sending letters or anything, but he traits wise, personality wise, he's like a good fit to do the job. Didn't have a ton of experience with it, but he's bright, uh has a good personality for it, that sort of thing. And he's been able to just kind of seamlessly transition into taking over temporarily for our property manager while she's gone. And it makes it a little bit easier because it's like having the right people there. There's not so much, I don't have to like baby them or do anything like that. They kind of just take care of everything, which
Yeah.
is where you want to be. I was reading a book and
One of
good
my many books. He points over his shoulder.
I was reading Good to Great is the name of the book, and they were
Yeah.
talking, and one of the quotes in there was from a CEO, and he said like, if you have to put systems in place to keep people honest and doing the right work, then you hired the wrong person in the first place.
Yeah.
So so it's like systems are useful, but having the right people trumps whatever system you can possibly put together.
Yeah.
So that goes for the employees that I have, but then it also goes for your third party vendors too, like your contractors,
Yeah.
uh, your realtor, your lender, all those things. You shouldn't feel like you're having to baby them. And I say that whole team because that kind of goes into our series of our like how to work with your core four group, your main team of people. Um, because really you want to have the right personalities and the right fit for you before you even try to build a system for those people, because if you don't have that fit right, nothing you try to build will work. So
Yeah, the other really cool thing is like the people who are good have a gravity about them and they collect other like good people.
yeah.
So you can get decent referrals. So if you
Hmm.
have these like mediocre people, you can never get referrals from them, right? Cuz it's
Yeah,
just
that's true.
so
It
that's
also
another
goes
really nice
it
thing.
goes back to, it's probably a suggestion from the Bigger Pockets podcast at one point in time where they said like if you're ever looking for a contractor and you have one really good one, ask your really good one like, hey,
Yeah.
if you were, it might be your electrician, say if you were doing the roof on your house, what roofer would you hire?
Yeah.
And they'll usually tell you. So
Yeah. Exactly.
all right, well, where can they find out more about us?
Right here on the podcast. You're listening, you made it. Apparently we have a new YouTube channel, Anthony Angotti. Uh
Yeah, my
412
name of the
agent
show.
is where they can get you. Give them
Yeah,
all those creds.
at 412 agent on Instagram, at BFreeRE for the show. Um, you can find me on Bigger Pockets, Anthony Angotti. I can do all that stuff. But most importantly, if you want to talk to us, give us a call. 412 right? Am I
That's
right?
right. That's
Am I
right.
right? I'm right. Yeah. New by them all. Anyway, so you can give us a call, you know, answer your show on or answer your question on air. We'll make up where you're from. I don't know where they'd be from right now. I'm thinking a Canadian town, perhaps. We'll find out.
Sounds cold.
But yeah, would love to hear from you. And yeah, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah,
Right?
if you guys enjoyed this episode, it would be great if you could leave a review or a comment on YouTube. Like and
Or give
subscribe.
us a call and tell us how much you hate us.
Yeah, that works too. Hate mail.
Yeah.
All
Our
right.
haters keep us fueled. Peace out.
See ya.
See ya.